Hi friends, in the last part we started with electromagnetic theory and we saw EMF and we saw how the translation motion of wire in uniform magnetic field induces an EMF in the circuit, right? Now what? And we saw various formulas for EMF, which was minus d phi by dt, which is also equal to integration V bar cross B bar dl, which was also integration E bar dot dl bar, right? And we also saw the Faraday's law, the integral form as well as both the differential form. The integral form was integration E bar dot dl bar is equal to minus integration del V bar by del T dot dA, which said that changing magnetic field gives rise to an electric field, and in the differential form this was del bar cross E bar is equal to minus del V bar by del T. Okay, now what about this was when there was translational motion of the loop, either for the loop or the wire or just the magnitude of the magnetic field was changing. Now what if we are having rotational motion of the loop? I am giving this just for understanding. Okay, we have a circular loop of radius a which is rotating with angular velocity omega in a magnetic field B which is pointing into the page, and the resistance of the loop is R. So the magnetic flux, the formula is integration B bar dot dA bar, right? That is integration, or we can just call this B into area A, that is pi a square into cos theta. Theta here we can write as omega t. So that is B into pi a square cos omega t. Then what is EMF, which is minus d phi by dt, that is B pi a square, d by dt of cos omega t will be minus sin omega t. So minus minus will become plus into omega sin omega t. Then the current induced will be EMF divided by resistance. This was just for understanding. So what you have to remember is this now. For a rotating loop, if at t equals to 0, phi, the flux is maximum, then for t greater than 0, the flux will be B, magnetic field, into area of that loop into cos omega t, and therefore the EMF will be B omega area sin omega t. If at t equals to 0, the flux is 0, then at t greater than 0, the flux will be B, magnetic field, into area. Instead of cos we will have here sin omega t, and E will be equal to B omega area cos omega t. So you have to remember this. Let's look at a problem. We have a circular conducting ring of radius r which rotates with constant angular velocity omega about its diameter placed along the x-axis. That is like this. It rotates like this, omega, and this is the x-axis. A uniform magnetic field B is applied along the y-axis. So we have y-axis and magnetic field is along this direction. At time t equals to 0, the ring is entirely in the xy plane. So at t equals to 0, the ring is entirely in the xy plane. So the ring is, how the ring is rotating, the ring is initially like this, okay, because at t equals to 0 it is in the xy plane. The x-axis is coming out, y-axis is going there, my xy plane is this. So at t equals to 0, it is entirely in the xy plane, and initially it is like this. Then it is rotating like this, it will go like this, okay, because it is rotating along a diameter which is along the x-axis, right? So it is rotating like this. So if t at t equals to 0, and we have to find the EMF induced in the ring at t greater than 0. For that we will see at t equals to 0 what is the value of flux. Flux is integration B bar dot dA bar, that is integration B dA cos theta. Okay, what is the theta? Theta is angle between magnetic field and the area. Initially it said that our loop is like this. So B bar is along y direction and dA bar is along the z hat direction, or we can say minus z hat direction. Let's consider this to be the positive direction, z hat direction. So we are having here y hat dot z hat. So that is angle is 90 degrees. So cos 90, this will be equal to 0. So at t equals to 0, our flux is 0. Therefore, at t greater than 0, the EMF will be B omega area cos omega t. So the EMF will be B omega, area of this loop will be pi r square into cos omega t. This will be the answer. You understood how we got this, right? Now if we look into average power, that will be E square, that is EMF square divided by the resistance R, or the current square, average current square divided by the into resistance R. And you can remember that average of sine squared omega t is equal to the average of cos squared omega t, which is equal to half. This is useful sometimes or many times. Now we will look into inductance. Electromagnetic induction is the generation of current in a coil due to changing magnetic field. A common example of this inductance is a transformer, right? Where in the primary, if you pass the current, then in the secondary coils, the current will be produced. How? Because the magnetic field or magnetic flux, or the first one of primary will get linked with the secondary coil and a current will be produced in the secondary coil. And the unit of inductance is Henry H, which is a scalar quantity. There are two types of inductance now. One is the mutual inductance, the other is the self-inductance. In mutual inductance, the EMF is induced in one coil due to changing current in another coil. For example, we have one coil of radius R1, coil 1. There is another coil of radius R2, coil 2. Let's say we pass a current I1 in coil 1, which goes in the anticlockwise direction. So because of the current which I1, a magnetic field B1 will be produced. That magnetic field B1, because the current is in this direction, magnetic field points upwards, so inside it will go upwards. So because of this current I1, a magnetic field B1 is produced. This magnetic field B1 will get linked with this coil 2 and a current I2 will flow in this coil. So the flux linked with this coil phi 2 will be integration the magnetic field produced by coil 1 into area of the coil 2, B1 dot A2. So you can see that the flux is proportional to B1 and the B1 is dependent on the current I1. Therefore, phi 2 is proportional to I1. Therefore, phi 2 is equal to M into I1. This M is called as the mutual inductance. Now, the current I2, the current induced in this coil, let's call it I2, will be equal to EMF in the second coil divided by resistance of the second coil. That is equal to minus 1 by R d phi 2 divided by dt. That is equal to minus this phi 2, right? Minus M by R di1 divided by dt. So you can see, because of the changing current in I1, a current is induced in the coil 2I2. This M is purely geometrical quantity. Second, we have self-inductance. Self-inductance is the EMF induced in the source loop itself. because of the changing current in the source loop. So just we are having one loop, it is having current I. If the current is changing, an EMF will be, the magnetic field will change. Because of the changing magnetic field, a flux will be generated, and that flux will give rise to an induced EMF in this loop. So here the flux phi is equal to Li, where L is called as self-inductance. And the EMF generated, EMF will be equal to minus d phi by dt, which is equal to minus L di by dt. Then the current induced, I induced, will be equal to epsilon divided by R, which is minus L by R di by dt. This EMF is called as the back EMF. Why the name back EMF? It is because it opposes any change in the current in the circuit. This L is also a geometrical quantity which depends on the size and the shape of the loop. Also, if this L is large, then it will be more difficult to change the current. And the energy which is stored in an inductor is given by half Li squared. This is U. That's it. We'll stop now. In the next part, we'll begin with Maxwell's equations. Peace be upon you.